So, welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. So, I made a big error. I recorded the entire first episode of this with voiceover, both on me reading out the narratives as well as explaining my choices and generally just talking about my reflection on life. And I had the wrong microphone selected. And I did not test before it because I hadn't done something like this before. So now I just have a 57-minute video with no sound over it. So probably not the most appealing to watch. But here, we have to make do. I'm not gonna go back and play the game. I'm just gonna keep moving forward. So what happened in the first episode is we played through the beginning of the game up to the point I first died because I chose to attack my grandfather, and that led to my first death, which I was then able to choose cause as my motivation, my for life. And so leads to us having, after our first deaths, the stats of 3 perception, 4 determination, and 5 willpower. So, yeah, I explained in the last episode that I was going for a balance of the stats. I was saying there's probably endings you can only get and things that can only happen if you have like max perception or go like full determination. But I'm mostly just going based off of like what decisions I would actually make and what I was actually feeling, and also I wanted to try to make a balance between those two, as I think it will be useful coming up to maybe not be maxed out on one, but to have decent in the other, because I don't want to be just a smart person who can't do anything, or a person who has a lot of will but no idea how to do it. I want to make sure I have both of those. So yep, we're 6 years old. We just died. I don't know what's gonna happen now because I think if we go once we go back to the text, it'll say we woke up in the tomb. But so we'll see how this progresses. I'm really enjoying this game, really enjoying talking over it. So I'm really looking forward to get back into it and see how this last little bit of childhood goes, and then we're gonna move into adolescence probably in this video. And I don't know if you can see that, but I have a thing saying hide. If you can see that, that's dang it. But moving on, let's go back to where we're at. But like I said, we just woke up in the tomb. So let me clear my throat quick. Then you smell a sickly, moist smell. You feel dampness all around you. You come back to your senses in the gloom of the family crypt, lying flat on a stone slab. Your parents are on their way to the crypt right now. You hear their muffled voices. They're arguing. Against all rules, Mother will not agree with Father. Oh man. Probably something about me, what happened with me, I'm guessing. Why would Sir Gregor do this? He just took one of our child's lives. One of our children's lives? That's a little bit oddly worded. Lydia. My father is our family's head, and the boy raised a hand to him. Nothing we could do. And father did admit that he was too hard on them. Please, do not anger Sir Gregor. You need to accept this. It will never happen to any of our children ever again. Their voices grow quiet as they lean over you. You lean on your elbows to try and get up from the stone. Mother generally wraps her cloak over your naked body as you shiver from the cold. My son, your first death came far too soon. Oh, the multiple deaths is the common thing. Okay. Yeah, one of the things I was curious with the last episode is that I was wondering if there's specific endings you can get if you have only experienced no deaths. So that was an interesting thing I was considering. And then true death, obviously probably don't want to go that far. But my son, your first death came far too soon. I know it'd be difficult to realize what happened, but know this. The twin gods are ever merciful. You are a child, and your time to leave for the hereafter has not yet come. You will return here by the gods twice more. But do not tempt fate again, and never ever defy those who could easily take your life. Parsons, you have angered your grandfather greatly. Do not stand in Sir Gregor's way ever again, and he'll never hurt you again. For now, just stay away from him. Father takes a step away from you, not saying a word. When Mother finishes talking, he picks you up and carries you outside. Together, your parents take you from the family crypt. On your way out of the crypt, you take a moment to touch your head. It is perfectly fine. There is no sign of the blow. Back home, Grandfather is still walking through the house, examining the rooms. You can see that Stefan and Gloria are disturbed by what just happened. Nathan starts crying when he sees you. The playroom still reeks of burnt paint. Oh yeah. Oh, we'll see how this goes. I wonder how. Oh, I just killed you. Sorry. There is something new about you now. A pitch black stripe on your left arm. It looks like a strange little bit of dirt at first, but it will not wash off. It will be like that forever, Mother explains. That's all she will say of it. So I wonder how the rebirth system, so we just get reincarnated because it's that did I get moved into another body, but it's still my soul? What I'm guessing had to happen, or the dent in my head shouldn't have been there. So yeah, he doesn't like us now. Makes sense. We kind of, defied him as a lowly commoner, as he's noble, not listening to a lot in life, but I have a feeling we'll see a lot more of that as it go on. We're going to have a lot of these noble characters. Probably have to, kill Stefan at some point if I had to guess, to be honest. But, we got more determination, and we got more perception, so now we're resolute. And we're almost going to get to inquisitive, but right now we're still on the upper cusp of curious. As a small child, you suffer your first death and rebirth. So, I'm at the event to die. So, cool. We'll see what's gonna. Is that gonna be the end of the year, or are we gonna get more with the grandfather? Father's sword. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Conditions met. Determination greater than or equal to 4. Oh, I see. Father's sword. When Father is not working long hours, you often see him spending long stretches of time in the backyard practicing his fencing. You are allowed to watch, but that is it. You are forbidden from touching the sword, let alone actually learning how to fight with it. It is a new day today, and Father has been busy in his studies since early morning. Mother took Gloria and Nathan to the shops. Your studies are done for today. The house is empty. You spot Father's sword hanging by the yard door. He must have left it there by accident after a training session. Oh, we grabbing that sword, boy. You deliberate at first, then grab the sword with resolve and run outside. At last, you have a chance to see it up close. It is a small sword used for dueling, heavy, and devoid of any ornamentation. You recall that it was made specifically for him. The weapon is difficult to handle. Its heft makes the palm of your hand shake. As you get used to it, you try your best to imitate Father's feints. Your technique leaves much to be desired, but at least it's something. You imagine yourself fighting for the family's honor as the thin blade slices through the air. But you swing far too back. The blade nicks your shoulder and cuts through your shirt, staining the fabric crimson. The fall soars to the ground with a dull clang. You try to apply pressure to the wound to make it stop bleeding, but all you can do is make the blood flow faster. Oh, please don't tell me I'm going to die again. Parsons, what are you doing here? The familiar voice hurts you more than the cut of the sword. Father walks up to you briskly. His rugged arms rip off a length of cloth and bandage your shoulder. He squats by your side and pulls you into an awkward embrace. My son, why did you take the sword? You know you're not supposed to hold it. This is no toy. It is a weapon. that can take lives. I know how you feel. I used to yearn for my father's dueling sword back when I was a lad. One day you might have a chance to earn the right to carry a weapon. But first, you must have patience and study and become a noble. When that day comes, I will be proud to teach you myself. You rarely spend time with father without someone else around. There is paternal love in his voice, so much that even the cut on your shoulder barely hurts now. You'd be glad to be convinced by what he says, but how can you forget your dream? How can you abandon it just to earn your father's approval? Is it right for him to ask so much of you? So we can agree with him. We gain some willpower. We actually, yeah, we gain. Wait, personnel. Wait, his father teach you the basis. We get the fencing lesson. Our determined. Oh, we get -10 to willpower. Agree. Okay, so this gives me +5 willpower, and it makes my father like me. Or I can take the fence. I just don't have any fucking willpower right now. I'm just scared if I take it, I'm not gonna have any willpower to make decisions I want in the future. But I do get the fencing lesson. I feel like this is a pretty major choice though, because knowing how the basics of a sword is I will take it. Father's inquisitive look presses you for an answer. Takes you a long time to muster enough courage to speak. Probably should have waited if I was gonna read that out at pause. Obviously, father's inquisitive look presses you for an answer. It takes you a long time to muster enough courage to speak. You beg him to teach you how to fight, at least the very basics. It will certainly come in handy in the future. It will be your first step towards becoming a nobleman. Yet I want to have that path open to me, so I got a message on my phone. Let me look at that. All right, sorry. I would edit that out if I'm being professional. Now it takes father a long time to respond. He's about to speak and you expect a refusal, but he says nothing. He draws a sharp breath again, but remains quiet. Then finally, he offers you the sword. But remember this, Parsons. You are not a warrior. Not yet. You will study this like you study your lessons. Thanks, kid. He teaches you the first lesson right away. You learn to dodge attacks. There are several times when the tip of the blade cuts the air dangerously close to your nose. It is scary and difficult, but you manage it. From that day forth, Father teaches you the foundations of sword fighting in great secret. You will use your passion for tree climbing to explain the cuts you received during training. Soon, you will learn how to hold your own in a duel. But will you ever need this art in real life? Doesn't want to have it in case. I do need more willpower. So in future decisions, I'm going to have to choose willpower options. You dare to study fasting like your father, even though you have no right to it by birth. I feel like that's going to come in mighty handy. So I feel like it's worth taking the debt on willpower for now. Year 1124. Fall. The master of the house. Soon, grandfather leaves. Your elder brother, Stefan, with him. From that day on, father hired teachers tend to you alone. They bored you with monotonous lectures on writing, counting, and the way of life in the blessed Arcanian Empire. You often distract yourself from the instruction by playing with your younger brother, Nathan. Your home goes quiet without your older brother. Too quiet. Weeks later, your family receives a letter from Stefan. Grandfather has sent him to a boarding school for nobles, and he's studying hard in preparation for his service as a nobleman. Stefan Brante. The rules here are way too strict. You can't even sneeze without the teacher's permission. But I've been studying with my peers. We're learning how to live as nobles in a noble society. We're also learning the art of swordplay. That's my favorite part. With Stefan now at the boarding school, grandfather arrives once more, this time to live in your home. The only good thing is that he often has urgent business in Eternia, the capital of the empire, and has to travel there. One day you ask mother where he lived before. In Eternia, she says. But now, this place is here. Oh, did he get displaced? This is life in the noble. Interesting. Each time grandfather returns, he gives the servants new orders. Your home is now always busy with repairs. The servants are redecorating grandfather's chambers, including his library and sitting room. Sometimes father tries to gently talk him out of this. Why subject the house to constant reconstruction? Grandfather's answer is always the same. This house is mine, and I will live here as befits a man of this nobility. Great dude. An illustrious guest. Some days, grandfather stays home, and on those days you try your best to stay out of his sight. But there's no way you can avoid family breakfasts. The food is there, but you cannot bring yourself to eat it. Mother's eyes are red and swollen. She has been crying all night again. Grandfather sits at the head of the table, where nobody used to sit before. There's me, Gloria, and Nathan, I'm guessing. Or this might be me and that might be Nathan, but this person looks a little bit older. Robert, it is high time your youngest sons underwent their sacraments. Sir Brante, please, let them live free of the lot for a while longer. They are but... Shut your mouth! Robert, that wife of yours is impertinent enough to interrupt me. If this ever happens again, she'll be eating her gruel with the servants of the kitchen where she belongs. It's time you considered a real marriage, Robert, one to a woman of the proper station. Gloria drops her fork. Grandfather shoots her a scathing look. A tear rolls down Mother's cheek. Father does not look away from the plate, his hands clenched into fists. Baroness Lador is one such woman. She is a comely widow and a fine match. She could be suing for inheritance right now and could use proper support and a husband. You could keep your low-born Lydia around if you like. Servant, mistress, I don't really care. I will not do that, Father. I am the head of this family, and the family standing took a severe blow after you married that commoner. It is unthinkable. How could you get up the memory of beautiful Amalia Elborn for this lowly woman, that bastard child of hers? But now you have a chance to set things right. Don't disappoint me. Father nods curtly, trying not to look in Mother's direction. Father, I wish to see Stefan. If I find your conduct in the Baroness' presence satisfactory enough, then you may see him. She's coming for a visit tomorrow. Be prepared. Grandfather wipes his mouth with his napkin, throws it onto his plate and leaves. Mother's lips move silently. Nobody says a word. Then, Father stands up and orders you and the other children back to your room. He needs to speak to Mother in private. Father comes to your room before bedtime. He sits on the edge of the bed and adjusts a crease on the wooden blanket. He distances himself from you after Stepan's departure, so you're not used to such attention from him. In the candlelight, you can see his face in the dark. There's a sour expression on it. My son, Baroness Emma Elodor will be visiting us tomorrow. Please be polite and treat her with respect. Nathan will do as you do. I want this dinner to be as immaculate as possible. Don't let me down. Oh, we're gonna get to choose if we want to be rowdy boy or not. On the next day, Mother starts dressing you and Nathan for the coming dinner. You see red all around her eyes. She has been crying, and for a long time, it hurts just to look at her. Nathan starts whining quietly. You and Nathan are dressed in new doublets, your tousled hair brushed into shape. Gloria is told to stay in her room. Father appears wearing his best suit. Mother the humble brown dress, looking pale. Grandfather has an uncharacteristically contented look about him. You hear the sounds of wheels and hooves against the cobble in the yard. Then a pair of dainty heels come clacking. The antechamber is completely quiet and still. Fearing grandfather's observant eye, the door opens. You see your guest, a beautiful, dark-haired woman in a dress of elegant, deep blue. Father takes the hand of Lady Eldador and kisses it, showering her in compliments. Grandfather's face is beaming in her presence. No one bothers to introduce Mother. Baroness, allow me to introduce you, Robert's son, Parthens and Nathan Brante. Frankly, it's his eldest Stefan who deserves the most attention, but currently he's studying in Interna with other young noblemen like himself. It is my hope that his younger sons will also make me proud one day. Grandfather eyes you with a probing look. How will you act in front of the Baroness? Will you accept her right next to your mother, your father's rightful wife? Unity +1, reputation -1, Grego Ponte -1. I must be. Yeah, I don't have enough willpower. So I have to either walk away with Mother, or I have to greet the Baroness politely. Okay, so this gives me plus reputation for the family, -1 unity. Lydia doesn't like me, but Robert, my dad, and my grandfather like me, or I walk away with Mother. That does give me 1 perception. I don't feel like I can do this. I think this is a time for me just to be polite. You know, sorry, my family, but I think this is the way it has to be. Sorry, Mom. You follow Father's example and kiss the Baroness's fingers gently. Her laughter fills the antechamber, ringing like chimes. You gallantly offer to lead her to the sitting room. Lady Eldador graciously agrees. But behind your back, you can hear Mother sobbing. Grandfather and Baroness Eldador engage in small talk over dinner. She tells him of the woes of litigation over her late husband's inheritance, and he advises her like the judge he is. Father is mostly silent, only getting in a word or two. You do your absolute best to behave yourself. After the decorous farewells to Lady Eldador, Father quietly thanks you for your model behavior. The morning after he leaves for Turner with Grandfather to visit Stefan, Mother spends almost an entire day in her bedroom. You can't bring yourself to speak to her. Father returns from the capital in a quiet rage. You overhear your parents talking. Apparently, Grandfather's already poisoned Stefan's mind against him, and he has greeted Father with cold hospitality. The name of Baroness Eldador is never mentioned in the house again. So as a result of this, yes, our mom is now indifferent to us. So that's -1. Put it down. My father is now sympathetic to me. So my father quite likes me. And this should, yeah, now he's slightly less hateful of me. And, yeah, we now We now have a modest position rather than being having a tarnished honor. So, that's something. We'll see how this all plays in. I have a feeling we're not going to have much unity in our family. We might I will try to avoid hatred, but I can definitely can't see it not going down to quarrels and feuds. Our family is so broken in so many ways, so but it really is a situation. It's a combination of the people. The kaleidoscope. So new year, 7 years old now. Father now checks on your studies often and nitpicks you for sitting or eating or speaking in an incorrect fashion. Once he becomes so annoyed, he says that he wishes Stefan had been the one to stay home instead of you. You never expected to hear those words from your father. Yeah, frickin' Dad, you're sympathetic to me. What the heck, man? You're like +3. Grandfather's trip to the capital took longer than expected. It feels light around the house without his presence. You allow yourself a little change of scenery. Instead of your room, you now busy yourself with reading and calculations in the sitting room across from the open door to the yard. Gloria has joined you today. Oh, yeah, we made a choice with Gloria. We ended up comforting her after her poems got burned. We did not have the requirements to write poetry with her. I believe that required 4 perception. I only had 2 or 3, I think, at the time. But we did comfort her, so I think I'm in good leagues. I like Gloria. I want to see her be able to live her best life, not like just becoming a sullen housewife that longs for more, as has happened to so many. Gloria has joined you today. She has already helped you progress through several complex passages in the book. Right now, she seems preoccupied with a strange tube, so it must be the kaleidoscope. Aren't you hurt by the way Grandfather treats you? You ask. Gloria just shrugs. Grandfather always says that you should get rid of me. I'm used to it now. He hurts you a lot worse because you're closer to him. I just have to stay out of his way. That's it. She shows you the strange tube she's been holding all day. Look! It's a kaleidoscope. I got it as a gift. Want to see inside? Excited by the idea, you close the book and peer into the tiny hole on one end of the tube. Your eye sees a multitude of intricate patterns. Each turn of the tube reveals a new web of interwoven colors. They simply mesmerize you. The kaleidoscope turns the fire burning in the fireplace into a cavalry made of flames. You are riding at the front of the fiery horsemen, ready to face the enemy. Grandfather faces emerge from the intersecting lines, and you swing the kaleidoscope like a sword, cutting it in half. Now you look at the blue sky through the window. The patterns are unending, secretive, and calm, and peaceful. Just like Father's smile before Grandfather's invasion. The deep blue gives way to a scattering of gold radiating gentle warmth, like Mother's arms. This fleeting beauty too soon gives way to a hypnotic new pattern. Again and again, you see your family in these interconnecting figures as they come together and break apart. And in the middle of this golden glow, you see Gloria's green eyes, gazing at you observantly. Your sister left you long ago. The books are abandoned, and time slips away unchecked. But you're so busy peering into the kaleidoscope. Order emerges from the chaos before your eyes again and again, but you cannot preserve it, no matter how you try. You are caught in an inner conflict. There is so much that can be done with this kaleidoscope. Should you take it apart, or ask Gloria how it works? Or keep enjoying the patterns it shows? But you still have your lesson to do today. Well, I will keep... this probably would have been the one I would have picked, because this gives me willpower, and I'm at -5. Because the choices are take the kaleidoscope apart, which will give you perception, because that's a smart thing to do, but loses 5 willpower. Keep looking through the kaleidoscope. It gives you +10 willpower. And return to your studies gives you +1 determination, but -5 willpower. So I'm going to keep looking through the kaleidoscope. Give me that +10. willpower. So I have the ability to make decisions in the future. It was the only option I had, but, you know. You continue peering into the ever-changing pattern the kaleidoscope offers you. They become truly interesting when you pointed at the shiny pillar gleaming in the sky. In your mind's eye, one battle follows another, filling your ears with clanging steel and the neighing of horses. You are leading the Imperial Army now. Everyone is so proud of you. Grandfather says you're even better than Stefan. And Father's voice cuts your daydream short. You lost all track of time. It is evening now. How did you get your hands on this toy, Parsons? Why aren't you studying? Give it to me. You will have double the lessons tomorrow. I gained 10 willpower, so I now have 5 willpower because I had negative 10. I wonder what happens if can you go under negative 10 willpower? Got a little loading. Let's see, Alright. Sweet temptations. Grandfather visits are no longer a cause for fear and panic in the house. He's become something you're used to. Something nagging, yet not unordinary, like a splinter or stain on your trousers. The tension, though, still remains. Sir Gregor's disdain for everyone in this house is so palpable, it almost stings for real. Your lessons with the tutor are done for today. You're walking down the stairs when you spot Gloria peeping into the sitting room through a slightly open door. You sneak up on your sister and tap her lightly on the shoulder. She is startled. Oh, it's you, Parsons. Look, Sir Gregor's eating something. Grandfather's sitting on the sofa, flipping through a bowl with one hand and reaching for a glass bowl with another now and then. Inside the bowl you see candied fruit, a sweet confectionery forbidden to the common estate, like all sweet things. Yet Grandfather's face shows no pleasure as he keeps consuming the high-born treats. Oh, we're gonna steal some? Steal some, steal some. The clock strikes 3. Grandfather rises from the seat, puts away the bowl on the shelf, and leaves for the yard. He always takes a walk in the city at this time. Gloria nudges you with her elbow and looks at the candy bowl when you look at her. The first emotion you feel is fear, but next curiosity, and that one's stronger. Stefan used to boast that candied fruits taste incredible, and now you have a perfect opportunity to try it. You try a candied fruit first. The sugar starts to melt as soon as you put it on your tongue. It is so incredibly sweet. You've never eaten something as good as this. You take the whole bowl off the shelf and give it to your sister. She takes the fruit and brings it to her mouth, carefully, like a rare treasure. There is a thumping on the stairs, footsteps accompanied by the knocking of a walking stick. You have no idea why, but Grandfather is back. You quickly hide behind the sofa and pull Gloria after you, but she's frozen in place with the bowl in her hands. The door opens. Grandfather's menacing figure advances on Gloria. His hand seizes her arm. Oh, shoot. You squalid, ungrateful, low-born child. How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You and your trollop of mother will be sleeping in a ditch if it weren't for my spineless son. The sweet and pleasant things in life are for the noble state, not for the likes of you. Did you forget your lot? His hand swings and hits Gloria on the cheek. She falls to the floor right next to where you were hidden. Her father glistened with the warm, melted sugar that brought you here. Grandfather advances again, his walking stick ready, but then he sees you huddling behind the armchair. Please, don't hurt him, Sir Brante. This is all my fault. He tried to stop me. You can already see a bruise on Gloria's cheek. This is only the beginning of her punishment. Gloria was caught red-handed, unlike you. You can still avoid your punishment. What is it, milksop? Did you try the sugar too? Or were you trying to stop this piece of filth like she says? So I can tell the truth which gives me 1 perception, costs me 5 willpower, and Gregor likes me a little bit more. I can lie, which gives me 5 willpower, and Gloria likes me -1. Or I can mock grandfather along with your sister. You start mocking grandfather, convinced that Gloria will join you. It gives me plus. But I kind of want perception. Oh, and also it's probably good for my grandfather not to hate me. But it does give me 0 willpower. Fuck. Lie. It's only 5 willpower. Yeah, I think I'll tell the truth. You stand and tell the truth, even though it takes you an effort to do it. You actually ate a candied fruit, but Gloria only touched it. You hope this will help your sister avoid punishment. You are quickly proven wrong. Grandfather's face is red with rage. He strikes you both with his walking cane, blow for blow. He keeps hitting you until he grows tired, and then he leaves you where you are. Soon enough, Mother comes in to find the two of you on the floor. Too afraid to move, she shakes her head in disappointment. You are badly hurt and covered in bruises, yet she forces you to kneel and recite the precepts on the lots and how important it is to follow them. No. Now he's indifferent to me. Then you stand before father and grandfather and swear never to take things that do not belong to you again. He's now completely indifferent to me, rather than not disliking me, which is good. But now I have 4 willpower, or I mean 4 perception rather, which I think is going to open up some good avenues. So get nice to get that over the little hump onto 4. And now we're gonna, yep. I am gonna go get myself some water, and then we're gonna continue write this up. So just be a moment for you, because I would edit this out if I was posting this on YouTube. So we are back. So let's get right into this. This is going to be the ants I remember talking about with your mother. See how this goes. The ant farm. Your younger brother Nathan is growing. Mother spends more time with the rest of the family now. You help her and play with your brother and take care of him when she asks. You often go to Mother's room to sit on the foot of her bed. After Nathan falls asleep, she reads you the sacred books and asks you about the things you learned that day. During these moments, you see the world through her eyes as well. One day the door of your room opens and she brings in a large box covered with a piece of cloth. It's rare for her to s- it is rare for you to see her so overjoyed. She sets the box on the floor and removes the cloth. The box under the cloth is made of glass and has a wooden base. Inside you see a layer of earth shaped into carefully crafted passages, and these passages are full of hard-working ants. Parsons, this is my gift to you. An ant farm. It is a little world within a small box. We can watch them through the glass. Look, this is the queen ant. She is the reason all these little ants were born. You sit by the box together. You hold your breath as you watch the ant colony at work. There turns out to be a method to the ants' chaotic movements. Every single one has a task to perform. Some of them have larger mandibles. They are the protectors of the colony. They can draw blood from your finger. Others work all around the colony, repairing the walls and clearing any debris from the passages. There are also workers who collect food you put in a special tray, leaves, bits of meat, maggots, and bring it to the rest of the colony. You take a worker ant and put it right next to the food. However, the insect has no interest in it. It starts circling around the tray aimlessly. Mother takes a stray ant and puts it back where it belongs. Why did you do that, my son? The ants cannot do what they weren't born to do. Each of them was born for their own job. You, you shake your head slowly. If only the ants could do whatever you wanted them to. This is your gift now, so they belong to you. Or maybe Mother's presence is the reason they won't obey you. So I can keep playing with Mother, which gives me 5 willpower and Lady likes me, or I can play by myself, which gives me insight. Oh, gives me insight. But gives me freaking minus unity, but plus perception, dude. I'm gonna play. I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry, my family. Why did I set the Y water like way off? You move away from Mother and pull the glass box towards yourself. She looks at you in surprise. But she gave it to you. It'll be easy to learn about the ants on your own. Mother sighs and stands back up. Very well. I understand. You want to find your own answers. You've grown up so quickly, my son. The door creaks quietly as it closes, and you're left to your own devices. Excuse me. You spend a long time watching the ants at work, and then you decide to go outside and find them some bugs to feed on. Once your haul is in the tray, you know which bugs they drag away and which they leave untouched. Day after day, you keep the full tray full of food, provide the insects with plenty of water, and remove dead ants from the farm. Your tiny subjects still refuse to change their peculiar ways. It is just as Mother said. The ant farm is exactly like the world we live in. The ants will never know that you are there. So now we have disagreements. We are at 4, you know. Going into 1 to 3 is quarrels and feuds, and we're at 4, so not great, but we are we high perception, and we get the insight. You experience an insight when your mother tells you about the ways of the world and the lot of its inhabitants. I think the last event is kissing the sword. The sacrament. Mother and father have been focused on Nathan and you since early morning. Instead of breakfast, you are told to say your prayers, wash your hands, and get dressed in plain white suits. Today is the day of your sacrament. Nathan says, Mother, I just want to go out to play. No playing today. You and Parsons are big boys now. It's time for you both to have your first sacrament. Nobody can live without a lot. I don't want a lot. Man, Nathan looks so sickly. Be quiet and listen. You're born commoners, so you must accept a low-born lot before the twins. When you grow up, you'll get chance to earn a noble lot. Father and mother take you to the carriage. Nathan is hungry. He starts whining. Grandfather is the last one to get in the carriage. His eyes are on you and your brother, looking for every fault he can. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets of Anneslote, slowly and solemnly. One more turn, you see the colossal white building marked by two massive pillars. For the first time in your life, you are to enter the Church of the Twin Gods. You enter the gate and walk under the splendorous dome of the church. The church. The church hall is divided into two halves. They're drastically different from one another. The floor on one side is rough and jagged and covered in dried brown spots, while the floor on the other is made of a smooth marble. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on pews. Grandfather and grandfather leave you to sit on one of the noble pews. Wait, what? I just want to read this. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on pews. Father and grandfather leave you to sit on one of the noble pews. Mother walks to the rough stone of the commoner's side and gets down on her knees. You see her wince in pain, for the low-born state shall suffer in the house of the faith. The church acolytes surround you and lead you to the altar, where you and the other children will take your sacrament this day. Before you stands a tall priest dressed in black, with a sword in one hand and a hefty whip in the other. Nathan's whining grows loud. He dislikes this place. He's scared. You remain quiet, but your stomach roils in uneasy anticipation. The first child to take the sacrament is a jaunty little boy from a family of nobles. The priest extends the sword before him, and he recites the word of his lot. From this day forth he will fight and rule and pursue the arts. His mind now forever free from the throes of suffering. For now he belongs to the noble lot. The boy proudly touches the flat of the blade with his lips. Nathan is next to receive the sacrament. He suddenly snaps out of his fearful trance and tries to break free, but the acolyte pulls him towards the altar and throws him on the jagged floor on the low-born side. The sharp edges bite into Nathan's knees as he lands, spraying drops of red around him. I don't wanna, Parsons! Why do they want to whip me? What did I do? You try to break free and run to Nathan's sides. You want to give him courage and protect him, but the acolyte's grip on you is too firm. You feel utterly helpless. Your little brother has to face the world all by himself. God, it's just, it's so cruel. But it's like, even, like I said in the last episode, which wasn't recorded, like, even though we don't have, like, formal ceremonies like this, there's definitely this, education and treatment of kids that teaches them to fall in line. I can't speak what private schools look like, but I have to imagine a private school looks much more like a noble's education than public's. The priest starts reciting the words of the lot as he swings the lash over Nathan's shoulder. From this day forth, Nathan, thou shalt endure and work and suffer. Thou shalt be ardent in thy labor and humble in obedience to thy rulers. And now cometh thy first true suffering, which thou must accept with gratitude. The lash cracks. It strikes his right shoulder. It strikes his left shoulder. The blows are so powerful that Nathan falls to the floor. The priest tells him to rise. He has received his lot. Nathan gets on his feet and drags himself towards Mother, his knees torn and bloodied, his spirit broken. It is your turn. Your feet will not move. You can barely muster enough strength to walk to the altar. You get down to your knees and feel the sharp stones below, so sharp your clothing cannot protect you. Your skin begins to burn. The acolyte forces your head down, and you feel the lash being drawn above you, ready to strike. The priest's words are for you now. Thus, this is thy sacrament. Thou shalt work, and thou endure. Thou art about to receive thy first suffering by the sacred lash. Does thou accept their lot? So if I just want to read out. So if we accept it, We get -1 determination, +1 we can raise our head, which gives us, which we needed 4 willpower for, which is this +5. I mean, we need, I can't talk. It gives us +5 willpower. You need at least 4 determination. We can catch the lash, which gives us +1 determination, -1 perception, or we can kiss the sword, which gives us a nobleman's sacrament, 1 determination, -1 perception, -10 willpower, and Gregor likes us, but I think we should definitely need. I can't pass up opportunity not to kiss the sword. The whip slices through the air, about to strike, but your eyes are transfixed by the blade that Priest holds in his other hand. You jump up and away. The lash misses you. You grab the blade with your hands. It cuts into you without mercy. The priest wrenches away from your bloody fingers. You look him straight in the eye. I am Parsons of House Brante. The priest freezes in shock. You seize this moment to pull the sword closer and kiss the smooth, cold blade. You hear cries of outrage among the churchgoers. Mothers prostrate themselves on the jagged floor, racked with fear. Father remains still, baffled by what you have just done, but grandfather looks at you intently, as though truly seeing you for the first time. There is a semblance of respect in his gaze. You are forced back on the commoner's place on the altar. The acolytes seize you by the arms and legs and keep your face bent closely to the bloody, jagged stones of the floor. The lash strikes your right shoulder, then your left shoulder. Then you are told to rise. You are a commoner. Mother takes your hand and leads you out of the church. Once you're outside, she scolds you for being insubordinate and bringing shame to your family. Nathan holds your hand as you walk. His tearful mixture of confusion. His tearful face a mixture of confusion and awe as he looks into your eyes. But you do not feel as though you have made a mistake. You did what was right for you, so now Gregor Brante has +1 opinion, still indifferent to us. We have become more determined, but slightly more stupid. Though we still have 4 perceptions, so it's not the worst. We definitely need to get more willpower, though, moving forward. The sacrament, year 1125. You've taken your first sacrament and received the commoner's lot. You challenge the order and attempt to seize a noble lot. So we got an achievement for that. Now we're going to move on to our adolescence. Yes, childhood's end. The mark left on you by the sacrament takes a long, long time to heal. Mother says it is a reminder of your lot, suffering and sufferance, pain and patience. Gloria shows you the mark of the lash on her shoulder one day. It will never disappear. You are a commoner now. This is the lot you were born into. Father keeps telling you to study hard so you can earn a different lot and become a noble of the mantle. You recall the past with warm sadness, when Stefan still lived with you, or when he wrote to you for a short time, shortly after he left. Now he thinks it beneath him to write to the commoners in his family. Mother didn't lock herself in the bedroom as often back then. This changed shortly before Nathan was born. But, most importantly, you missed the time before the terrifying figure of your grandfather was constantly looming over you. You learned the true power of the lot only after the head of the family's arrival. In grandfather's eyes, no commoner deserves to be treated with kindness. Is it just him, or is it the way of the entire world? The very thought makes you queasy. You are older now, and what's more, you are an elder brother now. You've learned how to care about someone else, how to teach and protect. Soon you are a small boy no longer. As the days pass, play gradually gives way to laborious studies. Now your choice will decide your place in the bizarre and ruthless world of adulthood. Your childhood years are over. Oop. And so it's going through the important events that happened. We got, we born, we had the sacrament, Nathan's birth, grandfather, then we died, then we had the fencing lesson, got our insight, got the sacrament, but took the nobleman's sacrament. All right. Personal qualities that accumulate in childhood, they were convert into adult qualities at the end of chapter 2, Adolescence. So I'm inquisitive. Your inner strength and number of death that you experience, these qualities will stay with the rest of your life. And we will continue. End of chapter 1. On to Adolescence, which looks about the same, 8 years. Peacetime is significantly longer, but for now, Adolescence. Oh, that was pretty short. I thought that was going to be a little bit longer, but chapter 2, Adolescence, and we got this tab. Chapter 2, Adolescence. You've lived in this world for 8 years now. As you grow older, life grows more complex. The world of your childhood was limited to your house and family, but now the realm is expanding. It also includes your neighborhood, the nearby houses, the streets of the ancient city of Anazote. A question now looms over you, growing more persistent with each passing year. What will your place be in this vast outside world? Dude, when I was freaking 8 years old, I was not thinking of that. I'll tell you that. Few people in the blessed Arcanian Empire trouble themselves with this question. It is not within a man or woman's power to choose. Their destiny is predetermined by their birth and those who bore them. And yet your peculiar birth is granted you a choice. Your father is a man of nobility, a worthy example in matters of duty and honor. Your mother is a commoner of lowly estate, humility and patience made flesh. And your sky is ablaze day and night with the light of the shining pillar, the beacon of the clergy. Your back bears the mark of the lash. Will you accept the drudgery and suffering that is the lot of the lowborn for your entire life? Will you follow in the footsteps of your father and your father's father in the fight for the right to serve as the empire as a noble of the mantle? Perhaps you will follow the twin godwards and offer spiritual guidance to others. The answer lies out there in the vast, terrifying world. What awaits you beyond the walls of your home? Now, I would assume the choices are naturally going to become more complex as we go on. Your world grows. Okay, oh, it's just the same thing. So events that can happen. So we have Gloria's secret. You discover the secret society your sister Gloria has joined. I need ingenuity greater than or equal to 4. Okay. Stefan's disgrace. You find out about your elder brother's forbidden love. You need nobility greater than or equal to 4. Blood tide. You join the blood tide of the Brante family. I need to participate in the ritual, and I already have the nobleman's sacrament. And then Nace's admonition. Your younger brother Nathan Bronte receives spiritual admonition from you. Oh, so this is like I can see they've distinguished the three chat of here you have the priest, here you have the commoner maybe, and you obviously have the noble here. So what are these relations? You have no relations yet. So market map of the empire. Oh, we have a map now. So we're in Anazo. Can I? Okay. So there's a Turna. Turna's quite a bit away. And then we have the province. Overseer Art Melandus, Patriarch Fotis, Power, Church, Old Faith, Fall of the New Faith, Wealth of Magra, Security, Peace. There's a high order of peace. Okay. Oh my God, there's a lot more things to think about now. We are modest position, modest means, and we are on the verge of fighting a lot. This is my destiny. Personal. You experience your first romantic feelings? Experience the revelation. Experience the revelation with Sophie is saved. You save the local girl named Sophia from lesser death. Alright, let's get into it. Oh, yeah. Into the meet a girl. So, your personal qualities at this age determine which choices you may take. So are those first two, the perception and the willpower, determination, are locked in at 6 and 4, and then these are the only thing I'm going to be focusing on: stability, ingenuity. Yeah, so it's where you're probably gonna go through a mix of these two. I'm probably not gonna go too far into spirituality. I'm exhausted. Yep, probably. And let's continue. We need to get some willpower because we still got -10 willpower. Adolescence, 8 years old. The boy down the street. The family expects more and more of you as you grow up. The teachers and tutors hired by your father keep you on your toes all the time. Your life these days is dedicated to studying for your future, for the future of the Brante family. Your younger brother Nathan keeps growing up too. He can hold a conversation now. You never refuse him when he comes to play, provided you have a bit of free time between your demanding lessons. It is a rainy day today. Father and mother have gone to a ball and they left Nathan in your care. You lose track of the time with the books in the sitting room. Nathan goes off alone to splash in the creek. Soon you hear his voice begging you to come outside. He's on the porch, sobbing, all covered in dirt. You walk up to him as he continues to bawl. it's all it's all that kid. He pushed me into the ditch. He called me names. He said I was a fancy pants fool. I said I'll call my brother. He's still there. You have to go punish him, Parsons. Oh my God, Nathan, stand up for yourself, my dude. Nathan points at a lopsided wooden house further down the street where the poor artisans live. You see the two boys lingering there on the porch. They're clearly both commoners, but far from poor. One of them is almost as tall as Nathan. He frowns in a funny way, just like him. The other looks older, almost your age, but he's more broad-shouldered and taller. His name is Tomas. You've heard it before. There, Parsons, that's him. Nathan points at the younger boy and hides behind your back. Tomas grins and rolls up his sleeves to reveal strong forms. He must have been helping his father with manual labor for quite some time. Tomas Guerrero. Listen up, rich boys. We don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't let nobody call our house a stickin' rat hole. Your little brother earned his ditch dive. Yeah, Nathan, you kinda did. Maybe next time you'll just normal and stop picking fights with people and throw them in the mud. Your hands clench and fist before you react. Nathan called them names first. No wonder they did the same. That's how it goes. But pushing your brother in a ditch is too much. Tomas stands tall and confident. He sees no threats in you. You are about to get ready for a fight when you feel a tug on your sleeve. You turn your head to see Nathan, the one who started the whole mess. I can't listen, because that requires... Wait, why does... Oh, it requires Nathan to like me, and Nathan does not like me. Resolve the matter. Say... Come to Tomas and give him a beating. Say your brother is to blame. Either way, Tomas likes me more. So basically, I just get to, choose nobility, ingenuity, or spirituality. And I want to go towards a more nobility. Well, I could go spirituality and just become cult master, But you know that is honestly probably a better way to be. But I couldn't live a lie. I couldn't live a lie that I'm not myself spiritual and don't believe in it. So we're gonna come at Tomas, give him a beating, give us that +1 to nobility. The bold-faced bully is taller and clearly stronger, but nobody talks to you like that. You loop at Tomas and start tearing into him. He jumps backward, surprised by your assault. It takes him a moment to compose himself, but now he is ready. His fist covers the face, and he attacks you with a quick jab. It is now your turn to take a step backwards. You start trading blows, huffing and puffing with rage. The younger brothers gawk in awe at the sight. Tomas does not resort to fancy moves, dirty tricks, or stupid taunts. He displays nothing but skill earned in many a street fight, and his heavy fists aim for your head. You keep dodging him again and again, trying to reach him. He takes a couple of glancing blows, but easily shakes them off. What a bruiser! That's a weird line. You start swinging your fists with greater and greater fury. Your heart is pounding like a hammer. You see nothing but the foe in front of you. How much longer will this take? You're worn out. Your breath goes ragged and your muscles grow heavy. But there is no way you can give up now. Nathan is watching you. Desperate and out of options, you swing and punch Tomas square in the nose. Then immediately let his fist smack you in the temple. The blow rings through your head like a bell and blinds you for a moment. The world swims before your eyes. You clutch at your head to get your bearings. Tomas is standing in front of you, blood dripping from his nose. You no longer want to fight it out, and your opponent would rather end it too. But you keep standing there, eyeing each other angrily, and suddenly you hear an angry shout right next to you. An enraged man in a craftsman apron to shake his fists. Tomas' face contorts in terror right away. It's my father! Run! The punishment for fighting is flogging, and the mere prospect of that makes you run like the wind. Tomas spurts in front of you. You dash across the rotten wooded planks off the back alley, up and over a lopsided fence, across a giant puddle in one leap, and then forward into the tall grass. You hide there and stay quiet. You hear no sounds of pursuit. You exchange glances with Tomas and start laughing. His laughter is loud and infectious, but soon he cuts it short and grows sadder. I'll get flogged anyways. My dad's always quick to give me a beating, and then he'll start nagging me about the lots and the prayers for days like he always does. Why do I always get mixed up in this stuff? But fighting's the only way to prove you're worth anything, right? The adults didn't see you fighting. You tell them. You tell them. So all you have to do now is convince them that you weren't. Nosebleeds happen, right? Mothers get nosebleeds all the time. Well, we could try it. Let's hope our little brothers don't tell on us. I'll talk to mine. There's a scratch on your forehead. Don't let them see it. Good thing I didn't hit you in the face. There. Good as new. You assure him that Nathan will never tell, and in return you'll make sure he behaves himself so you won't get tossed into a ditch again. With that, you shake hands with Tomas. His handshake is as strong as you expect based on his fists. You make your way out of the tall grass. You need to leave before Tomas's father goes to your family and complains about you breaking your lot. You come to a realization on the way back. You had no idea the place where you were hiding even existed, and it wasn't too far from home. Tomas smiles in excitement when he hears this. Oh, I know of lots of places like that. I'll tell you what. If we get out of this mess today, I'll show you the way to the old wall. It's the perfect place to build forts. I dragged a bunch of wooden planks there. Too bad it's no fun to build alone. My brother never helps. He just gets in the way. You emerge from the muddy back alleys, united by a secret only the two of you know. It seems you've made a friend today. A childhood friend. He lives in the same street, born to a family of humble artisans. His dream is to change his lot, get a military education, and earn the right to sword. He intends to join the Imperial Legion. Now we have +1 with him, and we get +1 nobility. You have made a friend, a boy named Tomas. Adolescence. Year 1127. We're now 9. It is blistering hot today, even for the sun, parched lands of Magra. As soon as you're done with your studies, you dash outdoors and out of the stuffy room. You and Tomas roll up your short sleeves, but it barely helps. You'd gladly go shirtless had you only been in the company of other boys. But there are girls in the yard today. They are doing the laundry in a big wash tub, whispering and giggling. If you could, you'd gladly keep watching one of them at work. Ooh, I got a crush. She has big eyes, a deep blue. Her dark hair is braided, and her plain gray dress is mended and patched all over. Her name is Sophia. She throws her head back a little when she laughs. The rays of the sun are reflected in her eyes. You, Tomas, and the other boys keep telling silly stories, anything to make her laugh. You sure loving, you sure love telling tall tales, Parsons. Oh, I remember this one time. Humble girl. But then Sophia hears a voice calling her home. She nods to you and runs around the street smiling. Her light steps carry her forward, but her eyes are looking somewhere else. But then a stone on the road catches her foot. She stumbles and falls flat. Oh, frick! I don't have enough willpower. No! She's gonna. Oh my God, she's dead. She's dead. I don't have willpower. The street starts shaking from the thundering of hooves. Riders appear on the road from around the corner. They bear a coat of arms you recognize right away, a sable serpent blade upon the field of vert. It symbolizes the Melanius dynasty, the family of your prominent archduke. The horses dash forward. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks under their hooves. They will not slow down. They are the nobles, and the rest must make way for them. Sophia. Oh, I can't shield her from the horses. Oh, Sophia's away, just now starting to get back on her feet. Her mother's crying for her desperately find the fence door. You freeze in terror. The riders surely see the girl. Are you going to stop, or are they going to trample her? In only a few moments, this beautiful girl will be toppled, trampled, and crushed. Oh, that sucks. And it's only 5. But I have to. Damn, dude, that sucks. I literally can't. But I have to stay where I am. You stand frozen by the roads. Oh, you stand frozen by the roadside, unable to look away at the cloud of dust covers the entire street. You feel as if a massive, maddened beast whipped you into a merciless frenzy has just passed you by. You hear no screams, no cracking bones, nothing but the deafening din of the hooves. Once the horses are gone and the dust settles, you can see the road again and the repulsive blob of blood, flesh, and bone left on it. You can still see traces of Sophia in that mess. Her dark hair, the remains of her dress. But it is no longer her. Sophia's earthly remains slowly dissipate and melt into the air. Her mother's eyes are filled with grief as she watches. She hunches over and slowly walks back into the house. You can still hear the riders far away down the road. None of them even bothered to look back. Your friends walk away at a loss for words. You make your way home, dazed by what you have seen. You're still dazed as you retell those events to Mother, unable to look up from the floor. After a moment of silence, she embraces you and calms you down. Poor girl, what a terrible, painful death. But must not know that was not her true death. By the twins' mercy, we are all given enough time in this world. Should she die before your time, you'll be brought back by their grace. For 3 times they will rescue you from a terrible fate, but the 4th death is true and final for all. Every loss of a life we are granted at our birth is a heavy blow to us, but the gods tell us not to mourn a lesser death. Everybody will keep on living as though nothing has happened. Even Sophia's parents. Oh my God. Can you imagine your parents, like, you just die and then you come back and your parents are just nothing? Wow. Their family is poor and they have no family crypt like we do. When the girl's soul comes back to life, her body will be born in the city church with all of her wounds healed. Do not mourn her, my son, but thank the twin gods for their justice. You see Sophia by her house a few days later, and she looks completely fine, without so much as a scratch. The other children tell you that her parents now forbid her to leave the yard after dying such an early first death. You call her out Sophia's name. She looks at you briefly, then walks back inside. Sophia never talks to you again. Big sad. Big sad, dude. Because that's obviously, if you do that, she's obviously going to be your first love. Or, your first, but she is a no. It sucks to say she is a commoner, and I should probably, if I want power, marry someone, a noble woman. Ah. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossip that her parents sent her off to serve a rich noble dynasty. You haven't seen each other since that day, but you still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. You're 10 years old now. Your studies continue, and you're learning more about the land you live in. Anazode is an ancient city in an imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra has turned to ash eons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Charmalandus. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained, barren and infertile as ever. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in equal measure, with few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is bought elsewhere and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. To pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra became skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stones. Last fall there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds of thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then the explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon everybody grew used to it. Father explains that the miners are using a new adventure called gunpowder. It makes it easier for them to reach the precious stones and metals buried deep within the earth. Then one day a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black billowing smoke covers the house. People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Ear pollution. Gloria, you cough only when nobody's watching. If mother hears it, she'll make you inhale those hot herbal vapors just like Nathan. It takes 2 days for the black smoke to disperse. People pour onto the street to meet their friends. Tomas is eager to share things he knows about the incident with you. They took lots of burn-up people to the city temple. Mom told me she was helping the healers. There are many rumors. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber, while others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order in the empire with their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for father to come back home, and then you'll ask him about it. Mother spends day and night working at the prefecture, while mother spends all time in prayer. It takes a full week for father to finally come back home, and he's almost completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face a bleak, weary mask, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you. It's the mine outside the city. They were trying to get to a vein of ore. There was an explosion. Mines caved in, and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count El Velasco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining that vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time has come. The prefecture has been inundated with complaints from families that have lost their breadwinners, asking the judge for help. Many people also lost the cattle to the black smoke. Count El Velasco blames gunpowder for the disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says, but it's plain old greed and tyranny and noblemen that are to blame. Why, the welfare of her province is always paid for with common lives. It's always, that's the way it always is. Then, without warning, he goes silent again. You've thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end that easily? A single moment of bad luck, and you die. Only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm. Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead. Never to be reborn again. Ever. Oop, there was a little decrease in peace and there was a little increase in affluence, where we are now affluent. Alrighty, no decisions to be made on my end because I am not part of politics. We're up to Stefan's arrival. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your older brother Stefan will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather, Gregor Brante, as well as a noble friend of the family. You're excited about your brother's return? It's been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? He's probably a stuck-up asshole. So, you and your father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather's the first to come in. Naturally. He did not change a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stefan casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You've heard a lot about this man from father and grandfather. He is Baron Augustine Elborn, Stefan's uncle, a family friend and the Providence prefect, which means that he's the head judge and thus father's superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. And this must be your younger son, Parsons? Yes? You have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to grandfather and Sir Elborn. But there is a moment of quiet when Stefan's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There's question in Stefan's eye as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. We noblemen ought put our emotions on public display, father. Not even after a lengthy separation. Yeah, in public, aka in the confines of your own home. Wow. There is no embrace. Instead, Stefan nods to father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses mother's hands, and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding in the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me as a child. And you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I saw you last. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely. Not even a greeting. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. The dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stefan spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Your fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble the swords, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. You cast a glance at the grandfather. He looks like he's about to choke on those words. It would do my grandson good to stay at boarding school among his equals. Please, Gregor, parenting is no less more important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not then be there to raise Stefan. But there is still family for him, and he is surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all that while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps, and who knows, perhaps even younger men of the Brante family will contribute to the— "You clumsy, low-born cretin!" Everybody is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He's glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stefan is sitting right next to her, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket. "Begone! This instant!" The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. "It appears the servants have left us, yet dinner is far from over." "Worry not, uncle. There are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink." "Oh, fuck you. Fuck you." Stefan glares at Gloria across the table. She's hunching right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his under his gaze. That is a weird phrasing. Over under his gaze. Father burrows his brow. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stefan's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to raise from her chair. "If the Brante gentleman so wish it." Your hands clench into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family, his own mother and sister like this? It's all grandfather's doing. Stefan could never bring himself to embrace father without his permission. And yet they're noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there's any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. So I can insult my brother, which gives me ingenuity. Stefan hates me. Stefan's gonna hate me. Glory likes me. I can grab one nobility by making small talk over dinner, or I can grant 10 willpower by joining Glory. Well, I would like more nobility, but I need willpower right now. I would like to be able to make decisions. And, you know, I don't mind Gloria liking me, so I will join Gloria in her plight. You deliberate for a moment, then take the napkin off your lap and rise to join Gloria. A moment later, you hear the sound of another chair moving. Your mother joins you. The three of you now refill glasses, serve food, and clear away dirty dishes. Sir Elborn tries to make small talk with father, but in vain, so he focuses his attention on grandfather and Stefan. Grandfather is pleased to inform him of Stefan's achievements at the boarding school, especially his exemplary sword-fighting skills. He constantly stresses the importance of your elder brother for the future of the family. You listen to him dispassionately as you continue serving new dishes to the table. As you wait at the nobleman's table, you and your sister and mother never bump into each other. Your labor is impeccable. Grandfather could not even find fault with it, even if he had tried. Your shoulders and back are aching, but being a manservant inside your own house hurts even more. When the guests finally leave, Mother and Gloria embrace you with relief. You do not neglect your relatives and share their humiliation, and the composure that you've shown gave you new strength. So Gloria is now +3. She likes me, and I actually get some willpower back. That is nice. I like to see that. We're not getting much stats so far, which isn't great, but I mean, you know, that'll come. A dropped handkerchief. Hot, dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Anazote prefer to remain in their chambers, while the commoners huddle in tents under the shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Tomas, the boy down the street, is taking you along. The two of you are inseparable now. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anazote where the nobles live. So here you are, in the middle of the city square, resting on the ancient brickwork by the old fountain in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Tomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's basin. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in a workshop day and night hoping someone will buy your goods someday, or you become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is our lot, you remind him. We work to endure and suffer. But Tomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know all that already. Mom keeps drilling that into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. So yeah, I say. But I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? By the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you for example, Brante. Your father's the nobleman, but even if he didn't make but even that didn't make you one, just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me. But we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Look at your father. He's a judge. He toils at the prefecture day and night during his judging, and he's a noble? I've never seen an Arcanian work as hard as he does. You shrug. The Arcanians are a different race. The books say that they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always noble of the sword by birth. They founded the empire after subduing all. Oh, so there's some racism in here too. Arcanians versus humans. Ew. They founded the empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. Humans will never be their equals. Arcanians are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. If the books are to believe, of course. You've never seen one yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hoofs and wheels against the cobblestones and see flags bearing a coat of arms. A sable serpent on the field avert. It makes you squirm. It is the Archduke coat of arms. The Millennitis dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders, suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress. Excuse me? That looks pretty, shouldery to me. Her black hair cascading over them, her stately, slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those eyes, dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredible of all, her skin glows in azure blue. She is a masterpiece given life. She is an Arcanian. Octavium Milanitis. Clear the way for me. The Milanitis guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Arcanian lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with the cool water. Well, I'll be. That's Octavian Milanitis, our Archduke's own daughter. The Arcanian turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you. Her handkerchief! It is right there by your feet. Intricate craftsmanship, expensive woven fabric, delicately decorated with emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw the beautiful Arcanian's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? We can give her back, which gives us a matters of the heart. Willpower -5, but she'll remember me. We can stash the trophy, which gives me willpower +5 for Thomas and likes me, or I can keep it as a memento, which gives me willpower +10. Oh shit, that is hard. She is a noble woman, though. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. That'd be big, dude. That'd be big. But 10 willpower. But noble woman. I can't pass up the Chan. It takes a moment to overcome your fear. You follow the young lady Mid-Adolescence and call out to her in a nervous voice. She turned around, her beautiful voice marred by a puzzled expression. You extend the dropped handkerchiefs towards her. Lady Octavia face contorts into a sneer. She signs to the guardsman indifferently. A guardsman's gauntlet-clad hand slaps you in the face. It rings your head like a heavy bell. Your nose cracks obediently under the staggering force. The rest of you follows suit, and you fall prone. You can discern the guardsman's voice through the painful din in your ears. Should I take the handkerchief back, lady? After commoners hence have befoured, let it wipe himself. Let him wipe himself with it for all I care. The carriage drives away. Tomas runs up to you and drags you back to the fountain. Your head is still ringing from the blow. The fateful handkerchief is still crumpled in your hand. Alright, we'll see if it... 12 years old, and we have no stats. Year 1130, spring, the quorum decree. 12 years old now, you overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and mother has just sent everyone to bed. You walk past father's studies and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and father is replying quietly. The elder Brante family are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid mother's attention, and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps he'll mention you too. That low-life idiot had the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service? He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum? How dare he? Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be low-born, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful. Should he become chairman of the lesser quorum? I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is low-born. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him could never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even low-life can wield power. True power, Robert. Just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax. Nothing more. That is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlife now? Make them the judges? If the empire rejects the foundations and the lots, this entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It's already crumbling, and you, my son and Aaron, are a harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you. I do not wish to marry a third time. Oh, Lydia is a good wife and dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to... I will not allow them nothing! Neither Egmont nor that free-loading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlife share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book, but that dream will never come true. They will never call me Venerable El Brante, and it's because of this marriage of yours. My only hope is that you can hear Stefan addressed in such manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up to be a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of El Brante. You have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milksops from the common lot? They are capable of anything. The best your middle son can do is sneak into the pure cabbage and get a noble by the mantle. Although I have great doubts about even that. As for downtrodden Nathan, I have no hopes for him whatsoever. You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Reign of Terror. School begins. Year 1130. You start stuttering at the school of Sir Tabor and begin to master the sciences. A storm of expectations. Finally, the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. You've grown, my son. It's time for you to choose your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tabor, a school for the children of noblemen and well-off commoners. Naturally, it's not a boarding school for nobles, so you have to study there during the day and come home in the evenings. You share the news with your best friend Tomas. Sir Tabor's school, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too as soon as I get the coin together. Father says the workshop has toiled day and night for years to stay up for my education. The school is based on an ancient estate of Arcanian design. The classrooms are tall and spacious with massive benches. The sounds of scrapping quills and lectures on history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict. The lessons tiring. Restless, Tomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire and how the nobles' court of honor is different from your commoners' civil court in the city prefecture. Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it's time for you to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer from her. And when it's time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind. For you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, she starts considering theology. You remember the revelations and divine visions that come to you in your earliest years. You have only one more day until the exam. You've already locked yourself in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy. But you have to read through them all again, at least for one of your subjects. There's a nagging thought in your head. Tomas ended up being trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Tomas swore he'd defend the fortress in the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue the friend in need. But then you hear your brother Nathan knocking at your door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either you speak first or you on the way. But this time, he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Parsons? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, you'll be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology, either one or the other. But Tomas and the fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan's by the door trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help so I can focus on law and theology, which is nobility, gives you ingenuity, study theology, spirituality, or spend a moment with Nathan. It gives me 10 willpower. You put everything away except your brother's offer of help. Shit. I really want that fucking willpower, but I want to start building nobility. Shit. It's one or the other. But like, if I do poorly on my exams, I don't think I can go help Tomas. It's either this or this. I don't want spirituality. You can help but pay attention to your brother's quiet, weak voice. You push the books away. Nathan runs to you and wraps his arms around your legs. They should just leave you alone. I don't want you to get sick. Warmth emanates from his hands. You feel the burden of the responsibilities thrust upon you fall from your shoulders. Last, you realize something. You can make your own decisions rather than submitting to the wills of others. You laugh at this realization and feel a new spring in your step. Nathan laughs with joy when he feels this. He takes your hand and pulls you outside. You studied enough. You spend the rest of the evening playing with your little brother, teaching him how to build a watchtower out of wooden planks, sticks, and old rags behind the house. Nathan's success in construction leaves much to be desired, unlike his skill for covering himself in mud. Still, he is absolutely overjoyed. The morning comes. You barely have time to wake up before you are walking to the menacing edifice of the school. The entire day is a constant flow of questions demanding answers. You give satisfactory responses on law and history, although you are somewhat confused by the many technicalities and chronological orders. Your knowledge of the interpretation of the law leaves much to be desired. Your parents are dissatisfied with your performance. You know that you could have worked harder. Still, you believe that yesterday was not a waste. God, I wish I got the willpower now, kind of, but this immediate, we're going for the long haul with this one. We have no stats. 11:30, fall, noble titles. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there's a certain hierarchy even with the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent and Arcanian gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asked you about school after dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Parsons? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arcanians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the empire. They own lands and estate. They fill offices of the highest rank, and the names of their bloodline are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the empire himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you respond, Sir Augustine L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arcanians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arcanians stand above all human gentry. They're born to rule over humans regardless of their title. No L is required while addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Arcanian tells you and never defy them. Ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service to the empire in the legion or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. Sons of the nobility. Sir Tibor's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons here. And every passing day, the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bully leading them is Diedrich, the son of the secretary for the imperial chancellery and a self-important snob. The sons of noblemen never pick on you, however. They know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, oh my gosh, let's go off. However, Diedrich and his retinue soon choose Tomas as their favorite target. Time and time again, you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again, Tomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Tomas over when you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diedrich and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks! How dare he sit next to decent folk? Tomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Dietrich. He throws himself at Dietrich's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before four pairs of hands grab him at once. Dietrich sneers and kicks her friend in the belly. Tomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them, and Dietrich readies another kick. Your nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners, he asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind. Your equals, and not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, four boys hold Tomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Dietrich haughtily extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What do? Challenge Dietrich to a fight? Gives me nobility. Turn him over to the teachers, which gives you ingenuity. Admonish the nobleman's sons. Or shake Dietrich's hand. I gotta... So it's either this or this. Mm, challenge to fight. You do not shake his hand. Instead, you challenge Dietrich to display at least some dignity by fighting you one-on-one. That is, if he considers himself a nobleman's son, of course. Dietrich's face grows serious. There's no way for him to refuse this challenge in public. Dietrich makes a sign, and Tomas is released and pushed to the floor. He gets back on his feet, curching and ishing to rush at them again, but you hold your friend back. The teacher of Imperial Law comes in the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. A day full of lessons begin. You keep daydreaming of Dietrich's face and how you're going to put an end to that nasty smile of his. Let's catch that bastard together and clean his clock. He hurt me, not you. The deal has been made. You tell your friend. This is a matter of your honor now. Tomas huffs angrily but agrees. Dietrich is already waiting for you in a narrow back street by the school, his retinue by his side. You walk forward and give him an opportunity to end this dispute once and for all. This is the nobleman's way. If you win the battle, Dietrich and the other children nobles will never pick on the commoner's son again. If he wins, you will never stand in their way and protect other students. You will fight him, one-on-one. Dietrich walks forward uncertainly. You both roll up your sleeves. You raise your fist in a fighting stance. Dietrich tries to copy your movements. You hit him first, though. Dietrich does manage to let several glancing blows, but he is fighting a losing battle. He's never been in a real street fight. Tomas nods in approval. You've learned a lot from him. Does not take long for Dietrich to stop fighting back. One more blow and he squeals and raises his hand. You have won. You turn to the other nobleman's son with a victorious look on your face. No more teasing. And if anybody else says so much as one bad word of Tomas, they'll pay. Dietrich's former retinue disperses silently. I am honorable now. 11:31. I think this is a good place to stop for now, though. I've had a great time, but I'm noticing these chapters are getting much longer, and there's a lot more reading going on. This, let's see. Look at the relationship tabs. Oh, we can see Jean. Oh, she must have come in this chapter. Let's see how we're at. Yep, but we will end here for now. I look forward to continuing this in, the coming days. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of reading, though, which, you need to have a break for after a while so you don't tire yourself out. So, yes, for now. Thanks everybody for watching. Like I've said in the previous video, I'd be interested to see if I play this game and look back at my decisions in 10 years from now, how my perspective on life might change and how I make different decisions. It'd be interesting to think about. But for now, goodbye.